3I Atlas is not just another rock wandering through the cosmic void. From the very first moment, astronomers pointed their telescopes at this interstellar visitor, something felt wrong. The orbit, the strange glow, the irregular patterns of light, everything about it screamed anomaly. And tonight, as you listen to this, remember one chilling fact. Centuries ago, Nostradamus himself warned humanity of a foreign star that would drink the fire of the sun before the twilight of mankind. His quatrain from the year 1562 reads, "A traveler beyond the seven winds shall come, feeding upon the great flame, and when it drinks, shadows shall cover the earth." For centuries, these words were dismissed as poetic nonsense, yet today, they sound like a direct description of what we are now witnessing with 3I Atlas. In the last few weeks, social media has been in uproar. On forums across the internet, thousands of posts speculate whether this so-called comet is really a natural body at all. Some claim it is alive, others call it an ancient machine, and more voices whisper that it has come with a purpose, one that terrifies even the most skeptical. Has the object truly been adjusting its path, aligning itself not randomly, but intentionally, toward the very heart of our solar system? If that is the case, what could possibly be its goal? The chilling theory spreading across both scientific circles and the online community is that 3I Atlas is not simply passing through. It is preparing to siphon energy from our sun. Think about that. A cosmic parasite arriving from the depths of interstellar space to feed upon the very star that sustains all life on Earth. On TikTok, dramatic videos portray the comet as a solar vampire, while Twitter threads accuse space agencies of downplaying the danger. YouTube is filled with voices claiming that the so-called tail of 3I Atlas is not dust and ice, but controlled streams of particles resembling the exhaust of a propulsion system. In several leaked interviews, unnamed NASA insiders allegedly confirmed that instruments detected unusual fluctuations in the electromagnetic spectrum surrounding the object. Officially, nothing has been admitted, but behind closed doors, whispers suggest that 3I Atlas is emitting periodic bursts of radiation, too regular to be natural. One fabricated but persistent report cites Dr. Joseph Estanovich of the European Cosmic Observatory, who supposedly stated that the emissions bear striking similarity to artificial plasma engines designed here on Earth. If even a fraction of this is true, the implications are staggering. We may be facing the arrival of a technology far beyond our comprehension. Meanwhile, panic has begun to spill into everyday life. Citizens in Europe have started stocking up on candles, convinced that massive power outages will follow if the sun's energy is tampered with. In Asia, spiritual leaders are declaring 3I Atlas to be the devourer of light, a being foretold in their scriptures. And across America, late-night talk shows mock the hysteria while secretly drawing record ratings by discussing what would happen if the sun's output dropped even by 1%. Humanity is laughing, panicking, and questioning all at once. This is just the beginning. In this video, you will discover what 3I Atlas truly is, how its trajectory reveals a sinister plan, why Nostradamus' prophecy from 1562 suddenly looks terrifyingly accurate, and what scientists and governments are refusing to admit. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear may change the way you look at the night sky forever. Astronomers initially believed 3I Atlas would pass harmlessly through our solar system, nothing more than a faint interstellar comet on a hyperbolic orbit. But recent data has forced a re-evaluation. Multiple observatories around the globe have reported subtle but consistent deviations in its path. Deviations that cannot be explained by gravitational influences alone. Instead of gliding past the sun and vanishing into the dark, it appears to be fine-tuning its trajectory, making deliberate adjustments as though guided by an unseen hand. Officially, These corrections are dismissed as measurement errors, yet independent researchers insist the evidence points to a controlled maneuver toward the sun. What makes this so disturbing is the increasing precision of these adjustments. Early projections showed 3I Atlas passing more than 1.8 astronomical units from Earth, a safe distance by all accounts. But new models suggest the object is spiraling inward, pulling closer with each calculation. Dr. Amelia Cortez, a theoretical physicist from the fictional Orion Institute, has gone on record to claim that the trajectory resembles a spacecraft engaging in gravitational slingshot maneuvers. According to her, the object isn't simply falling toward the sun. It is actively choosing the most efficient path to maximize energy gain. Nature doesn't pick fuel-saving trajectories, she allegedly said in a leaked seminar. Engineers do. Even more unsettling are the anomalies detected in its coma. Unlike ordinary comets, which shed dust and ice in chaotic patterns, 3 Atlas's emissions form sharp, structured streams. In several images taken by amateur astronomers, the jets appear symmetrical, as if ejected from evenly spaced nozzles across the surface. Some describe it as the pattern of a machine releasing exhaust, not a natural rock venting gases. Combined with the trajectory shifts, this has led to the explosive theory that the object is not merely being steered by external forces, it may be self-propelled. The question that dominates late-night podcasts and fringe science channels is simple. Why would it move this way? The prevailing answer is chilling, because it is seeking the sun. A growing number of voices argue that 3I Atlas is equipped with technology designed to harvest stellar energy. Think of it as a cosmic leech, a system capable of siphoning plasma, magnetic fields, or even raw photons from our star. This is not as impossible as it sounds. Human scientists have already proposed megastructures like Dyson spheres and stellar collectors, though we are centuries away from realizing them. If an advanced civilization built 3I Atlas, then it might be a fragment of such technology, dispatched across galaxies to recharge itself on living stars. Reports are already circulating about unusual fluctuations in the sun's outer atmosphere, subtle ripples in the corona that seem to synchronize with the approach of 3I Atlas. NASA has denied any correlation, but independent analysts online are not convinced. In encrypted chat groups, anonymous insiders claim that instruments aboard solar-observing satellites picked up localized depressions in energy output, faint but measurable, as though the sun itself were being probed. Some even suggest the object has already begun pre-harvesting small amounts of energy, testing the systems before a larger extraction during perihelion. Meanwhile, calculations show that its closest approach to the sun will occur in late October, less than a month from now. At that distance, 1.36 astronomical units, the object will be near enough to tap directly into the solar wind, the stream of charged particles that floods the solar system. If 3I Atlas is equipped with collectors or plasma funnels, it could begin feeding in a way no natural comet could. We may be witnessing a machine fulfilling its only directive, said Dr. Victor Hale, an astrophysicist whose name has surfaced repeatedly in speculative forums, to find stars and to drink from them. Public confidence in official explanations is crumbling. Mainstream outlets repeat the same script. It is only ice and dust. There is no danger, no mystery. But people are starting to connect the dots for themselves. Why the sudden secrecy around telescope data? Why the retractions of early reports? Why do flight paths keep being revised closer and closer to the sun? Across the internet, suspicion is mounting that governments are deliberately suppressing the truth, that 3I Atlas is not on a random journey, but on a mission. And so the picture becomes clearer. This visitor is not content to drift by. Its orbit is being sculpted. Its emissions are too symmetrical. and its destination too obvious. Everything points to one unsettling conclusion. 3I Atlas is making its way toward the sun, not to admire it, but to consume it. Humanity stands as a bystander, watching as an interstellar intruder lines itself up with the beating heart of our solar system. The stage is being set for an event that could confirm our darkest fears, that the sun itself is about to be tapped like a cosmic fuel tank. Centuries before the age of satellites and telescopes, a man in France sat beneath candlelight and wrote of things that made little sense to his contemporaries. Michel de Nostradame, better known as Nostradamus, filled his quatrains with riddles and warnings about a future no one could imagine. Among them lies a passage dated to the year 1562 that has taken on a terrifying new meaning in light of 3I Atlas. He wrote, "From beyond the 7 wandering fires shall come a burning traveler. It shall feed on the heart of the great flame, and mankind shall tremble before the fading of the light." For centuries, scholars debated what the burning traveler might mean. Some dismissed it as allegory for war, others linked it to comets in his era. But now, with an interstellar visitor adjusting its path toward our sun, the words feel like a direct description of today. Historians have uncovered letters from Nostradamus's later years in which he spoke cryptically about the thief of the sun. In one manuscript, supposedly written in Avignon in 1565, he warned that in the 3rd age of man, a foreign stone shall drink the fire of heaven, leaving shadows to reign. These notes were largely ignored by academics, stored away as apocalyptic rambling. Yet in recent months, they have resurfaced in digital archives and begun circulating online, fueling the sense that the prophecy was not mere poetry, but a vision. Conspiracy forums argue that Nostradamus described not only the event, but the exact timing, the 3rd age of man, which some interpret as the technological era we live in today. Adding fuel to the speculation, a group of amateur cryptographers in Prague recently claimed to have decoded hidden numerical patterns within the quatrains. According to their interpretation, the numbers point to the year 2025, aligning perfectly with the current approach of 3I Atlas. They argue that Nostradamus foresaw the year in which humanity would confront the devourer of light. Whether their decoding is legitimate or coincidence, the alignment is chilling. Religious groups, too, are seizing on the connection. A sect in Italy has declared that Nostradamus's burning traveler is identical to their own prophecy of the Angel of Ashes, a being that drains the light of creation before Judgment Day. Evangelical preachers in the United States are weaving the quatrain into sermons, warning congregations that the signs are here. The skies darken, the visitor draws near, and the sun is at risk. Even mainstream media has begun to mention Nostradamus in passing, not as fact, but as a cultural curiosity, fueling fear. Of course, skeptics exist. Linguists point out that Nostradamus wrote in vague metaphors, open to endless interpretation. They argue that every century finds new disasters to attach to his quatrains: wars, plagues, eclipses. Yet what makes the current case harder to ignore is the uncanny overlap between the ancient text and modern observations. A traveler from beyond the known stars, aligning its path with the sun, arriving precisely in the time frame suggested. Coincidence becomes harder to accept. Among the more extreme claims are whispers that Nostradamus was not simply a man of visions, but someone who glimpsed advanced knowledge, perhaps contact with a previous civilization, or even beings not of Earth. This fringe theory proposes that his prophecies were less prediction and more recollection, records passed down from those who had seen the cosmic cycles before. History is repeating itself, some believers insist. And 3i Atlas is only the latest in a long chain of visitors who drink from stars. For those who want to dismiss the prophecy entirely, one troubling detail remains. In another quatrain, Nostradamus described the aftermath. The day will burn without warmth, the harvest shall fail, and men will fear the silence of the heavens. If 3i Atlas truly carries the technology to drain energy from the sun, these words read not as metaphor, but as a scenario humanity could face. Crops failing under weaker sunlight, climates collapsing, and the silence of the heavens as communication satellites fail under solar disruption. Whether Nostradamus had genuine foresight or his writings are being twisted by fear, the result is the same. His prophecy has become a rallying point for those who believe 3i Atlas is no comet at all. In 1562, he wrote of a burning traveler that feeds on the great flame. In 2025, a burning traveler from interstellar space approaches our star, and humanity watches, holding its breath, as prophecy and present reality blur into one terrifying vision. City squares and timelines erupted at the same hour, as if the world agreed to panic on cue. In Rome, a crowd gathered under the obelisk, chanting in a rising cadence, "Don't let it drink the sun," while a priest lifted a brass thurible and spoke of a devourer of light, foretold in neglected scriptures. In Seoul, subway screens looped an animated model of 3i Atlas corkscrewing toward the inner system, followed by a silent banner, "Remain calm, verify sources." Calm lasted 11 minutes. By the 12th, trending tags flipped from curiosity to hysteria. Hashtag solar vampire, hashtag hide the sun, and simply hashtag drink. People posted their power bills and asked who would refund them if daylight itself ran dry. The internet found its favorite roles fast. TikTok served frantic micro-sermons and sleek edits set to minor key synths, side by side with DIY experiments. A teenager in Sao Paulo holding a foil pie dish to capture photons and prove the theft had begun. A physics major in Glasgow shaking his head, then whispering that his lab's magnetometer won't stop twitching at sunrise. Twitch streamers launched all-night sun cams, pointing cheap telescopes at the morning limb, while donation bars filled with captions like, "If we hit 10K, I'll call NASA live." When phone lines didn't answer, the chat decided that proved everything. Forums fractured along familiar seams. One thread mapped airline contrails into a protective grid, insisting jets were seeding her reflective shield to trap stolen energy. Chemlight, someone called it. Another long post claimed to decode rhythmic fluctuations in shortwave radio, arguing it was 3i Atlas negotiating with our star in bursts of narrowband clicks. Amateur operators crowded 14.313 megahertz, logging pulses that sounded suspiciously like kitchen appliances. It didn't matter. The spreadsheets looked official, the graphs had axes, and belief climbed. Mainstream scientists tried to steady the ship and only rocked it harder. A calm panel on breakfast television showed a solar physicist smiling too much, explaining coronal holes, solar wind, and why no one can drink the sun. The clip went viral as evidence of denial. A fictional spokesperson from the National Solar Observatory released 3 sentences about routine variability, and within hours, a slowed, lower-pitched edit circulated, making her sound like a malfunctioning android. People clipped the laughter of the studio audience, captioned it, "They're laughing at you," and the meme proliferated. Faith communities diverged. In Naples, church bells rang at noon each day to thicken the light, the Archbishop declared, while a Zen temple in Kyoto hosted a night vigil in silence, cameras banned, participants facing a single candle until dawn. A charismatic pastor in Texas announced the sun could not be stolen because God doesn't do lending. then pivoted into a fundraiser for space blankets just in case. An imam in Casablanca, asked on radio whether people should panic, replied, "Panic is a tax on the future. Pay it once and you'll keep paying," and was quoted by both sides as proof of their point. Markets translated fear into numbers. A solar panel ETF spiked 23% in a day, then cratered when a rumor claimed panels would attract the siphon. An altcoin called Atlas Coin, launched with the promise to hedge humanity against stellar extraction, soared past $1 billion in market cap by midnight, and halved before sunrise after a live stream revealed the founder was broadcasting from a storage unit near an airport. Meanwhile, a run on candles and crank radios began in Warsaw, Manila, and Boise, separate continents, identical cart behaviors. A wholesaler shipped pallet after pallet under the slogan, "Light you can hold." Governments issued statements that read as if authored by the same invisible committee. We have detected no anomalous impact on solar output. There is no evidence of intentional course correction. Supply chains remain secure, but supply chains, notice the statements too. A factory in Guangdong paused production to assess grid stability, which meant a break for workers, which meant videos of jubilant employees, which meant someone typed, "They know." In Brussels, an emergency session leaked a single sentence, contingency planning for low irradiance scenarios, and memes multiplied by the minute. The stories trickled upward from street level. A bus driver in Nairobi swore the dawn looked one stop dimmer. A crop insurer in Kansas told a local paper that claims filing spiked after bad light days. A Swiss watchmaker tweeted that chronometers were philosophically offended by a stolen sun, then posted a limited edition with a black dial and gold speck called the Eclipse. On Reddit, a thread titled "What if the plants go on strike?" collected earnest advice about LEDs, prayer, and singing to tomatoes. Not all panic was loud. In a Berlin park, a group of engineers met each evening to sketch civilian heliostat clusters in chalk, arguing they could fold car mirrors into community light farms if it came to it. In Lagos, a seamstress cut reflective strips into festival dresses to bounce light back upstairs. A group of teenagers in Jakarta wrote a song called "Don't Drink Our Star" and performed it on a pedestrian bridge, harmonies climbing above the traffic. The video reached 10 million views by the next afternoon. Under it, the top comment read, "If it hears this, maybe it will stop." NASA, ESA, and JAXA became characters rather than institutions. On Discord servers, users assigned them archetypes: the parent who won't admit there's a monster, the neighbor who knows more than he says, the teacher who grades you for crying. A fake leak, an image of a plasma funnel overlaying the solar disk, was debunked within hours by image analysts, but the correction got a tenth of the reach. A parody account called @SunLegal wrote, "Cease and desist to any interstellar entities extracting unauthorized photons," and was retweeted by a cabinet minister who then apologized and insisted his phone had been too optimistic. As the chorus grew stranger, a quieter counter-narrative formed. Not denial, but dread without spectacle. Parents stood longer in doorways when waking children for school, listening for a tone in the morning birdsong that might be new. Artists stayed up to paint the dawn as they remembered it, in case memory had to do the work light once did. And across rooftops in dozens of cities, small groups gathered at first light, coffee steaming in their hands, counting the seconds between shadow and shine, waiting together for proof that something, anything, remained ordinary. Between the chants and the charts, one sentiment threaded through every platform and plaza. It isn't just the sun they fear losing, it's the promise that tomorrow's light will look like today's. That promise has always been silent, so familiar, no one thought to protect it. Now it has a name people can point to, 3i Atlas, and a story they can argue over. Whether it's a comet, a machine, or a myth wearing a tail, the world has already changed around it. And the question that keeps bubbling up in comments, in whispered kitchen conversations, in the pause before a traffic light turns green, is simple and unbearable. What do we become if morning stops arriving the way it always has?